guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on our YouTube account and we're going to be looking at the towers and the heroes that we're utilizing within the towers. Now 3 towers are currently up, so I'm thinking I'm going to go through, I'm going to do the Tower of Light, the Brutal Citadel, and the Celestial Sanctum. Really show you which heroes are carrying in there. Depending on where you're at, you either have 1 team, 2 teams, or if you're at the place where we're at, we are driving 3 teams. Now the big thing with this, guys, is of course pulling out these Stargazer cards. Now this is really the primary reason in the driving force with making progression within these towers. In addition, every 20 floors that you do progress out of your quest, you do pick up, that is right guys, you pick up time emblems, as you can see them guys right there, floor 820, 840, 780. When you're going through and doing the faction towers, you will pick up time emblems out of there. Now with that being said, guys, you start picking up the time emblems at floor 300. You start picking up Stargazer cards at floor 125. So that is really the driving point that you want to hit. Once you have all of your towers, so the Tower of Light, the Citadel, Forsaken Necropolis, and World Tree, up to 125 plus, is the point where you do want to start utilizing those Stargazer cards to look for heroes like Lucretia. If you're starting to summon before that, could be very detrimental in your progression within the towers, meaning that you're going to utilize diamonds, foregoing getting Stargazer cards out of here naturally. Now looking at the Tower of Light, again, we're at a point where you do need 3 teams in their entirety, guys. And again, I'm just going to go over the top 3 heroes, maybe an honorable mention when it comes to another hero of who we're utilizing as the primary carries within the towers themselves. So of course, guys, Awakened Heroes. Now, Awakened Heroes can pretty much solo any aspect of the towers. When you look at Thane, when you look at Brutus, when you look at Solus, when you look at Baden, even when you look at the Awakened version of Talene, works incredibly well. Only one that doesn't is, of course, the Awakened version of Aziz. So Awakened Thane, again, is the priority, guys. You can actually run him in a lot of formations by himself, and he can solo floors, which again is pretty broken. But we know the strength of the Awakened Heroes if you get them built. Super, super strong carries within here. Now, another very solid carry in here is, of course, Scarlet. Now, Scarlet, we do pair up with Rosaline in the tower. But overall, just because of the utility that we see with the guild bosses, Twisted Realm, Cursed Realm, Scarlet is the second highest priority, or the top priority, honestly, when you're building out the heroes, just because the Awakened ones are going to be such a time consumption. Out of the Lightbearer faction itself, Scarlet would be my #1 priority when it comes to building out the hero. Now, for our third one in this tower, kind of a very unique one, guys, but the hero that actually breaks the tower is the original version of Thane. Now, the caveat with this one, guys, is he has to be built to maximize the damage. So I'm talking 30960, fully maxed out, and he will solo floors being completely built within here. Now, short of those 3, again, we're only going to cover 3 within the towers. You do have a heroes with a lot of utility. When you look at Rowan, when you look at Estrilda, utilize quite a bit. When you look at Sonya, utilize quite a bit. And then, of course, we do also have Maro. Maro is a very, very strong carry within the tower, which that would probably be the honorable mention for this game mode, just because he does provide a considerable amount of damage, but he also does have a pretty solid crowd control aspect in here, which is the reason why he is pretty effective. Now, looking at the Brutal Citadel. So this tower is the struggle, guys. So this one has always been the most difficult tower to make progression in. Again, early game, I would absolutely go with Kren. Now, Kren is used again in the Curse Realm. Kren is used in the towers. There's a lot of different game modes where Kren is absolutely used, guys. Making Kren, honestly, the #1 priority, short of the Awakened Heroes to really build within here. Kren will carry tower levels solo when you do get him built out. Incredibly, incredibly powerful in a lot of different game modes, giving him a very high utility within the towers. Now, my number 2 would be Entendre. Now, Entendre does require the +60 engraving. She will work if you don't have that +60 engraving, but overall, guys, you want to get that +60 engraving. It gives her a massive heal when it comes to the enemies. Marked enemies give her a energy or a health regeneration, which makes her super strong, very difficult to kill, still does a considerable amount of power. And then, of course, the third team, guys, is the awakened version of Brutus. Now, he is just an absolute monster. Even if you have him early game, if you have him legendary, legendary plus, mythic, wherever you have him built, guys, the shielding, the SP effect, and the crowd control will work incredibly well within the tower, which would be the three heroes that I would recommend. The mention, kind of two of them. One being Thisu. Thisu will work incredibly well. Anasel will work incredibly well. Then, of course, guys, granted with the crowd control, we do have Brutus with the immunity. But overall, guys, Thisu, if you're going to build a hero that is specific to the tower, similar to Maro in that Lightbearer tower, I don't know any place else that Thisu is actually used. But if you're building out Thisu for the tower, he will do exceptionally well. Which brings us, guys, to the Sanctum. Now, this is a tower that is incredibly, incredibly difficult to get through. And the primary reason is for a majority of free-to-play players, you don't have a build-out of Celestial Heroes. If you're building out 5, a lot of players do utilize Flora and Wukong. But overall, the two strongest heroes, and just because we have two teams in here, I'm going to cover the two strongest heroes. Number one being the awakened version of Talene. She will dominate one team. So if you're looking and just doing single team, even at legendary, guys, I still use her in here all the time. Simply at legendary, she is still doing a considerable amount of damage, coming back to life, which is, again, a really, really strong priority. And in this tower, guys, you'll realize that it is very hard to do damage. Damage is the part that I'm really struggling with in this tower. Just because there are not that many damage dealers within here. We have some good crowd control. So overall, guys, the awakened version of Talene, very strong, and so is Audrey. Now, since Audrey has came out, Audrey does an incredible amount of damage within here. Again, she would be my number one priority to build just for the tower, and we're specifically talking about the tower because I know we do have Halos down here in the utility he provides, but when you're looking at sheer tower progression, guys, Audrey is going to drive it and is going to drive it home. Does incredibly well, does an absolute crazy amount of damage within the tower, making her, again, my number one choice for the tower builds. Now, following that, guys, is Athalia. So Athalia, because you can specifically target a hero like Isabella right here, she does an incredible amount of damage as well, and she does it very fast. She has a bleed effect that she can put on the entire team. Again, looking at some formations, looking at some builds, a lot of times you can get her, and you will build her eventually out of the Challenger store, right behind the Dimensionals and Zolrath. But ultimately, she is very similar to some of the other damage dealers, meaning she has to be built out considerably to do incredibly well. Now, some of the other heroes, even Moriel, a lot of players ask where we should have her built out. She does well built out. She doesn't do an incredible amount of damage. Same with Zephyriel. So Zephyriel does have some very strong crowd control, but when it comes to the overall damage, guys, both the awakened version of Talene and Audrey will break damage. Same with Athalia. Looking at some of our formations in here, again, you can see, guys, right there, we have Talene, but we also do have Athalia. 9.09 billion damage from Athalia, which is very much the driving force. And then here, 13.85 with Audrey. They are really, again, the two primary heroes, Audrey and Athalia, to build to really make your progression within the towers. So, all right, guys, so that'll do it for our short little video over the towers. Again, Celestial Sanctum, Tower of Light, and the Brutal Citadel. I am going to cover the other 3 towers in the next video. That way we can break it out, and the videos are not half an hour long. So, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.